Do you live on a smaller property but still want to be flying around your 5-inch like it's race day? Well, stay tuned because this thing, it's got you covered. Woo! G'day, you absolute legend. Stu from UAVfutures here, and today we're going to be having as much fun as you can with this little 3-inch in your hand right there, and I promise no more innuendos. Alright, I'm past that joke. But what this is the Happy Model Crux 3, the 1S version, and this is made for you people who want to replicate. You want that feeling of speed and power that you get with your 5-inch racers, but you want something a little bit more tame, or something you can fly around in a little bit smaller spaces. So what we're going to do in this video, stay tuned, we're going to be putting it on the bench, looking at the text and the specs, ranking it, finding out how it compares, what's its speed like compared to other drones. We actually have a standardized track here now, we'll compare it to some others. We're going to get the Doctor in as well, a first-class, world-renowned pilot, which you'll be learning a lot about on this channel as well. We'll be getting his impressions and just finding out, is this the right quad for you? So, as a bit of an overview, let's turn my scales on right here. And what this is, like I mentioned, it's made just to rip around, have some fun. They do say you can carry a camera on this and all that sort of junk, but look, it's not what it's made for. It's really just made to have fun. It flies around on 1S. It's coming in at, I think, about $119, or depending on, that's for Freedom units out there, some USD, but maybe like 150 or 160. Check the links down below for the Aussie dollars as well. But it is coming in at, yes, zero that off. It's coming in at 40 grams as well, so hopefully that is in shot and you can hopefully see that. 40 grams right there, that is without a battery. I'm sticking on a 55 milliamp hour battery as well, so all in all, it's about 50 grams, and I've got to say, it's a very, very quiet drone. It is suited for those people who want to fly around and not be obnoxious, or it's a very undercover drone anyway, I should say. It's not going to upset anybody. It's very quiet. You can have a lot of fun with it. It's not made for really freestyle, long-range cruising or anything like that. This is made for a little pocket rocket, full of speed, having some fun at short bursts. So, gee, I'm sure my wife could put some innuendos in there. Short and speedy and short bursts with a 3-inch. Anyway, I digress. So let's move on. We're going to have a look at... We're going to have a look at the designer thing, talk about the design of the components that we've got in here, as well as, I guess, the style that it is. So it's a little toothpick kind of thing, very light. It does hold up well in crashes because it doesn't have too much weight. Starting at the outside in, hopefully this is in shot as well. You can see we do have our little 3-inch bi-blade props on the outside right there. Underneath we've just got some tiny little motors. I think I'll flash it on the screen anyway. I think it's 1202s. Possibly, but I'll put that on the screen as well. Moving towards our 4-in-1 in the middle. Very, very standard stuff. The only specific thing about this I do want to mention is it has Express ELRS built in for mine as well. So that means it can bind up straight to my ELRS module in my T16, so into my radio. You get some really good ranges because you notice it doesn't have some big dorky antennas that you'll find, except for a video antenna here, but it doesn't have your big normal antennas, just those tiny little ones built in to Express LRS. So hopefully that's going to be in shot there as well. So out of 10. What do I give this design? Well, I'd probably just say, look, a 7 out of 10. It's not doing anything too drastic. The components are fairly stock standard, just your good average components that work well, go together, and it performs. So I've got to say on the design front, probably about a 7 out of 10. We should also talk about the quality. And it's important too that I'm ranking these. I want to really make sure in the future we're giving a score to each one of these. So you can see at the end, I'm going to link this document. You'll be able to see exactly where it stacks up, where it falls short, and compare it to other drones so you can make the best decision that you can. But the quality is about the same. I'd say a 7 out of 10. It's not the best I've ever seen. It really is just a put together in a Chinese factory, not substandard, but just standard sort of quad. It's not doing anything too special. I could probably build it a little bit better if I did it myself, but it is a lot better than I see on some beginner builds that people do as well. Everything's kind of plug and play almost with the motors, and you know, it's just a fairly decent sort of quad, so 7 out of 10 as well. And then that brings us on to the fun stuff. So we've had a look at how it goes together, we've had a look at the quality of the thing, the weight, who's it suited for, all that sort of stuff, what you're here for. And now, with that out of the way, let's have some fun, rip it around, what you're here for. We're going to show you some flight footage, have a good time, find out its performance, its flight times, all that sort of stuff, and most importantly, you'll see my flight footage, but also let me introduce you to the doctor, and we'll see what he thinks about it as well. And yes, I've got to keep his identity a secret, but don't worry, world-class pilot will get his impressions as well. So let's see what he's talking about in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, pilots? The doctor here. Looks like we are back again to fly some FPV. I wonder how this one is going to go. I know Stu likes small 3-inch things in his hand, but I think I am used to something a little bit larger. I digress. Feels pretty snappy actually. A few oscillations, but the amount of power it packs in feels great. Really able to rip it around this little track fairly consistently. This would be a blast with some mates racing, all fighting for top position. Unfortunately, flying with Stu means zero competition because he is so slow. My diagnosis of this drone is it's a little ripper, made for us racers who don't always have access to larger tracks. Too much speed for indoors and I know for filming, but if you want speed and power in a small package, this is it. By the way, what is going on with Stu's shirts? Is he having a midlife crisis? His fashion is almost as bad as his piloting skills. Anyways, I better give it back to him. He's been wanting to fly this a lot and we have about 30 batteries to get through. Peace.
Who's that doctor calling slow? Anyway, let's get on, talk with the drone. Here we go, flying around the Crux 31S on Express ELRS. That's another bit of a mouthful, but I'm trying to go through here, do a little flip and a spin, and anyway, have some fun with this drone. And straight off the bat, I gotta say, I like it. It feels good, it flies around, it's fun in this property that I've got. It's definitely not obnoxious, and that's probably what I like the most about this thing. It's got a bunch of power, but it's definitely not gonna upset my neighbors or anyone around. Look, I'm even flying over their property. I do have permission to do that, so don't freak out. But yeah, just cruising around, having some fun. It's not going to upset anybody. So if you took this to the park, there's no Karen coming out who's going to be yelling at you or anything like that. It's super quiet and it's still got plenty of speed. Now you can see flashing up on the screen all the time, we are getting some low battery warnings. So definitely choose down the battery so that performance definitely comes at a cost. And that is the short flight time. So cruising around, I think I got pretty lucky there, flying through some of the palm trees, going through that little ring gate we've got right here. I think Charlie's running around as well. A bit of a tiny sneak peek of the house tour. Out the back, some water tanks. But all in all, look, it's a fun little drone. If you've got a place to fly this, maybe you don't want to be cruising around on a big 6-inch or a 5-inch. It's definitely got so many pros to go with it, but it does struggle when it comes out of dive. So it wobbles just a little bit, and I don't know if that's just something that's to do with the smaller drones, like most of them feel like this, but it doesn't have as much power as say a big 6-inch or a 5-inch. But look, all in all, I gotta say, I like it. It works out of the box. It's got great performance, short flight times, good reliability, didn't get any range issues or anything like that, and still plenty of speed. So, well, I thought it was speedy anyway. I know the doctor likes to fly a little bit faster and he calls me slow, but I had a good time flying this thing around. It's just, you can see that land now, low battery. You're probably going to be getting like a 2-minute flight time if you're lucky. Anyway, let's bring it back in and finish our review. See if I can land it on the table right here. Bit of a sneak peek behind the scenes. Woo, radio. So thank you very much to the doc right there. So performance, I've got to say 8 out of 10. It has a lot of punch, especially for such a little drone. And I know, look, we're looking at our lap times. I think it was 33.331 seconds was the best lap that I got. I'll put that on the screen as well, but screaming this thing around, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it, but be prepared, that is gonna cost you. So I'm only gonna give it a 4 out of 10 in the flight times. I like to fly this thing hard, I like to fly it fast. Why? Because it's got that performance. You could be cruising around a little bit more, but the sort of flying that you wanna do with this thing, be prepared to sort of have some shorter flight times out there. So for me, you're probably looking at around sub 2 minutes on a 55 milliamp hour battery as well. So what it makes up for in performance, it is kind of let down when it comes to the flight times. And then finally, let's have a look, I guess, in the rank things. Because it's the first real quad around this test track, it's rank number 1 out of 1, believe it. So that's pretty easy, but that's going to be interesting. Our first 1S quad on the track. And I got to say, I think it's going to do better than maybe some freestyle rigs in the future, but I'd love to know what you guys think and what you think about the track as well. And then moving on, finally, the pros and the cons, and should you get this. You probably already made your mind up by now, but the pros of this thing, it is fast, it's light, it is not going to annoy anybody, it is relatively cheap. The 1S batteries are just, you know, they're cheap as well, so you're not going to, if you crash this versus crashing like a 6S, it's going to be much more likely to break something on a big 6S racing quad. This, I've had plenty of stacks with it. You can still get a full-on racing sort of feel. If you had a bunch of mates together screaming around with something like this, you're going to have a lot of fun. And then the cons, look, it does say that it can carry a little action camera. It's not really made for that. I think you'd be letting it down, adding those extra grams and stuff. You're just better off having a little drone like this for having some fun. The flight times is basically about it. So screaming this thing around, the flight times are relatively low. And also, you've got your little rubber band holder on the bottom. I don't know how long that's gonna last. Yes, look, getting a rubber band is relatively cheap, but it is a con. I've had to replace mine once already, so that's where you slide your batteries. Hopefully you can see this in the roof cam as well. And then the last bit when I talk about performance, the only part I really didn't like besides the flight times is if you are coming out of a dive, and you would have seen it, some of those over and unders and stuff on the track, it really can suffer when it's dropping out of there. It really struggles, I guess, to pull out of a dive or something like that. This little 3-inch struggles to pull out. There you go. That is the last innuendo. So with all that out of the way, and I would say for the value out of 10, look, it's about 120 bucks USD. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. So all up, this thing, the UAV score of the Happy Model Crux 3 1S, what a mouthful, you can put another innuendo right there, is a 33 out of 50. And again, because this is the first quad we've got on this list, on this table, it's a rank number 1. But there you go, let me know, what did you guys think? What do you think about having this list? You can access it down below as well. There'll be like a spreadsheet or a link you can go check out, and it's gonna have every single drone that we've reviewed. You can sort them by rank, by flight time, all that sort of stuff. That should be down there, some extra information for you. I'd love to know, drop your comments, what did you think about the dock? And thank you very much to him for coming out, screaming around some packs, having a good laugh as well. On that, subscribe for more FPV related content. Leave a comment, what you think about this shirt. My mum got it for me, and as always, happy flying. Oh, and big shout out to RS7 Driver. Yes, I did get your email. I'm gonna write back today, man. I'm gonna go upstairs and write back right now. Anyway, happy flying.
Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.